Welcome to the part 2 of the Indian Roadmaster service. In today's episode, we're going to be adjusting the belt, and then we're going to check the bike one last time, and we're going to do the best part of the mechanic's job, which is performance test, which is actually just a test drive. The roads are wet, but they're not frozen, so I can go and test this bad boy, because obviously this is not the bike you want to use in the winter. I'm going to take this bike into the long tunnel not far from here, where I can do some brake tests and acceleration tests without the risk of sliding on a wet or icy surface. And then, because of the condition outside, obviously winter and -degrees, I'm going to take the bike into the car and go and wash it before I can deliver it back to the customer. I know he's going to pick this up with the trailer, so he's not going to drive it home. And then the bike gonna be standing at his place until he's ready to use in the nice warm weather. Yeah, this is really not the bike you want to use in the winter, unless you have a sidecar and winter tires on it, which actually could be fun. Now, in order of order, and what I mean by that is to check the belt, you need to have a small, simple tool, looks like this. There are different tools and different methods of checking it. This is the easiest, because this is very simple spring-loaded tool that have a predetermined pressure on it, which is marked by this little O-ring here. So when you press this in and it stops on the O-ring, it means it's 10 pounds. And can please someone explain me why abbreviation of the pounds is LBS? So this very simple spring-loaded tool, it's only for the belts that's supposed to be checked with the 10 pounds of force applied to the belt when you're measuring the deflection. You have to find a nice flat place on your belt, like right here, just next to the mark. The Indian has like a small little plastic fender, and there's a scale on this fender that you might actually use but not necessarily have to. So what you do, you put your O-ring on the 10-pound mark, you put the tool on your belt, and then you press perpendicularly to the belt until the little O-ring stops. And then you measure the deflection of the belt. And now with the 10 pounds of force, I can see it's going to the half of the distance of those little stripes here. And now I'm gonna measure it with the tape. Simple measuring tape will do. I use this tool. Why I have it, I don't know. Maybe it's because I built my own house with it. But I use this scale up here, and I align the belt with the 10-centimeter mark, and then I press with the tool all the way along this surface, and then it shows me how high it is. So it's really simple. You need 2 hands to do that. So what I do, I align 10-centimeter mark with the belt, and when the 10 pound is on, I can see that the belt is moving a little bit over 35 millimeters. Now, how much your belt should be deflecting is in the book, is in a bike manual, or you can find stuff like this online. So we're gonna check now how much the belt on Indian Roadmaster 2015 should be moving up. Now, the deflection in the belt on the Indian Roadmaster with 10 pounds of force should be around 34-35 millimeters. This one is a little bit over 35, I'll say 36 or 37, which means that it's a little bit too loose. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna tighten the belt. As I said before, we're gonna tighten it on the right side of the swing arm, and then we're gonna adjust the belt alignment on the left side. Also, I measured the belt in a few different spots by rotating the wheel and remeasuring, and it's more or less the same on all of them. Sometimes the belt can be stretched in one place more than the other, so you have to measure it in a few spots to make sure the belt is not damaged. If you have a situation that the belt tension is different in 2 different spots, that means that the belt is stretched in one spot, and you have to unfortunately replace that belt, change it for the new one. It doesn't happen very often with the belts. I see this a lot in motorcycles, especially very powerful motorcycles, and especially if you want to do a wheelie. The moment when you very quickly get off your clutch in order to pop a wheelie or do a burnout, That's the moment you're going to stretch the chain in this one spot. Then your chain is going to be flying up and down while you drive, creating a lots of noise. In some extreme situations, I've seen them jump off and create a lot of damage on the engine because the front sprocket can push all your chain straight into your engine block. So check your chain tension. So we're going to tighten the belt now to make sure it moves about 34 millimeters. Now to make adjustment, you have to make sure that this axle nut is tightened to the proper force, which means you have to loosen it and then tighten it to the correct force. Now there are special tools which will allow you to do that. Unfortunately, none of mine can fit between the nut and the exhaust. There are tools that can do it. I don't have it. So what I have to do is remove this silencer to get to the nut and tighten it properly. Lucky for me, this is not a very hard job. There is one clamp here and there is 2 bolts over here, and that's it. Just make sure you don't drop it because it's nice and chrome and you don't want to damage it. Now what you're going to do, you're going to loose that nut and retighten it to 20 Newton meters, and that's the force we're going to use to adjust and align the belt and the wheel position. When we're done with this, we're going to tighten this one to 88. So remember, 20 is not the final. If somebody told you 20, 20 is just for adjusting the belt alignment and tension. The final torque is 88 Newton meters. Now the most tricky part of all this belt adjustment and alignment, there's a nut over here on that bolt. It's 13 millimeter and there is no place around it, so good luck finding the socket that's going to fit there. It's going to have to be very thin, very long, because the bolt is long and it has to avoid the pulley. It's a little bit easier on the other side because it's more open, but still, before you find the tool and try to adjust the belt, clean this with some brake cleaner and a brush, so you have a nice and clean bolt and the nut, because this is usually very, very dirty because you can see how open it is. If you drive in the bad weather like rain, this one is full of water constantly, so clean it, use some rust penetrator because usually those bolts are corroded a little bit. So especially for Indian motorcycle, I have to grind it off one of my sockets, so it's thin enough that it fits into the swing arm. Remember to clean the swing arm because the dirt that is sitting around this nut may also block your tool. So clean swing arm, nice, thin, long tool, and you should be good. The best way to clean the tight spot is to use some kind of chemical and then you use compressed air. Now you have your nut loosened to 20 Newton meters. So what you're going to do, you're going to put this on your tensioner and turn it clockwise about 1 turn and recheck the belt tension. And we're going to do that until the belt free play is about 34 millimeters. Now the belt tension is correct. What we're going to do is check if the belt is going straight in the middle of the pulley, and to do that we're going to rotate the wheel backwards and see if the belt is getting closer to one of the pulley walls. Now you can see that the belt, when I'm rotating the wheel backwards, is getting closer to the left side of the pulley, and when I'm rotating forward, it's going closer to the right side. That means that the wheel is off to the right. We have to now, obviously it's to the right because we just adjust the tension on it, so we move the front of the wheel to the right. Now we have to correct that with tightening the bolt on the left side to make sure that the belt goes back into the middle. However, what I like to do is to start the engine and make sure the wheel is rotating when it's being pulled by the engine, so then I can see that it's actually straight. Now the belt is in a correct tension and correct alignment. It kind of goes wobbly on the sprocket. It's okay. It's not important that it goes perfectly straight all the time. It's important it doesn't touch and press on any of the wall, and you can clearly see that the belt wants to go in the middle, is not being pulled to one or the other side. And that's how it's supposed to be aligned and adjusted. Now we're going to tighten the nut to 88 Newton meters, refit the silencer, and the best part of being a mechanic comes, which is a test drive, or you might want to be a professional performance test. Now if you're wondering about the cable sticking out from behind the seat, is a cable for the top box. The top box have some speakers in it and some lights, and also it's a central locking system for side cases and the top box on that bike. Technology, huh? The worst thing you can do to those tools is to, let's say, adjust them to 50 Newton meters. If they're electronic, they make a sound. If they're mechanical, they make a sort of a click, and then you go more. So that's the worst thing you can do to those tools. Adjust them to 50 and then go to 120 with them. Now, small tip. There is a clamp on this exhaust pipe, and there is also two bolts. You have to tighten the clamps as the last. First, what you do, you mount it as it's supposed to be. That goes to the whole exhaust system. You mount the exhaust in the position it's supposed to be mounted, and the clamps, you lock them as the last thing. Do not put your exhaust on, tighten the clamp, and then you fight with the bolt to align the hole to mount your silencer to the frame. You do the mounting of the silencer first, and then the last thing you do is the clamps that actually squeeze one pipe on the other pipe to make a tight connection. If you do everything correct as a mechanic, the customer picks up his bike, and if nothing happens with the bike and it works as it's supposed to work, nobody gonna care about you because you just did what you're supposed to do and the bike worked as it's supposed to. However, if you forget a small thing, such an easy thing as a tire pressure, that's gonna create a situation where the bike gonna float all over the road, and customer will notice that the one of the tire is flat straight after the service or day or 2 days after. So always remember to check such a simple thing as a tire pressure. It's about 80, or I will even say 85, maybe 90% of the bike that comes to me are with the wrong tire pressure, especially too low tire pressure. It can cause the damage to the tire, or it can create dangerous situation on the road. But the worst thing that can happen is that you as a rider get used to bad behavior on your bike. And then when you change the tire, you say, oh, the bike completely changed, it's a different bike. I supposed to change those tires long time ago. When actually sometimes it's just the tire pressure. As a mechanic, you have a responsibility to check all the small things. You don't want the customer to pick up the bike with the low pressure, burn out one of the light bulbs, or such a small thing as clock not being adjusted. So all those small things are not going to help you to create a good impression, but they're going to protect you from creating the bad one. I'm going to wash the bike, and I have to be honest with you, because of the front fender goes so low in front of the wheel, I cannot attach the wheel into that wall behind me, so I have to put a sort of extension in front of it. And the bike is so long, I have to drive with the half open door right now because it won't fit. This car is 2.6 meter long in the back, and it's still not enough to pack the Indian Roadmaster. So if you're thinking about getting a car for your private transport or for your business, make sure the bike's gonna fit first, because this one doesn't. So I need a bigger car, definitely. The bike is back from the wash. Now I'm going to dry it, do some detailing, a little bit of polish, and then it's back to the customer. I hope you enjoyed the episode about the Indian. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and see you on the road.